So, what is up, everybody? Today we are going to do something a bit different. Me and Matt have got together and we are going to do a discussion, just a quick discussion about Cosmodread, which came out, I think it was yesterday,
Yep.
publicly. We had access a little bit before. And this morning we were talking about this game and how we both wanted to jump back in today. And yeah, man, so how are you, mate? You good?
Yeah, I'm great. I'm surprised actually at how much I enjoyed the game based on the fact that I am a wuss and terrified of horror games.
Yeah, man.
It's something just pulls you into that game.
Yeah, I found I think Dreadhalls is scary. This is from the developer of Dreadhalls, obviously.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think he's still a one-man band, which makes this actually really quite incredible when you think about it. And for the money, I think it's a. What do you think value-wise? Like $15?
Oh, I think that it's a great value. One of the best I've seen on the Quest Store for a while because it's procedurally generated. So even if you beat the game, in theory, you could play it over and over again and still have at least minor differences to the game. So you would never really it wouldn't get stale.
Yeah, and just to be clear, neither of us have completed it. I don't think. I don't
No,
actually know anyone who's completed it. Do you know anyone who's finished this yet?
I haven't seen anyone that has.
Right. So for those who don't know, I think this is how I understand it. The story is you're pulled into like the gravitational pull of another ship or something, and you crash land on this vessel, massive vessel, which is infested, and you need to escape to Earth. And you go around going to the different rooms and stuff, which, as Matt said, is procedure generated. And like the other day, I felt like I really got somewhere. I get to the jump drive,
Mm.
actually put in the cores for the jump drive. I felt genuinely like I was getting somewhere, and then of course I died. Um, but yeah, so the premise of the game is basically you run through it, you collect modules, and those modules stay with you forever, don't they? Regardless, and then you can fabricate items to help you on your next run. So, what items have you found?
Um, I found the pistol pistol ammo. I think I found. Um, and oxygen. Those are the only two ones I've found so far. I haven't played it as much as you have. I've been wanting to, just haven't had a chance to jump back in.
Mate, I was so lucky on my last run at the end of my live stream. No, it was the second to last run. I had 5 modules and I was nearly dead. And I was thinking, oh my God, like normally when I play this game, I find one module at a time.
Yeah.
And on the Quest version, I'd found the body armor straight away and I fabricated it and I was using it. And when I jumped over to the Steam version, so to be clear, there's no cross save. There is, I think it's cross buy, someone told me, but there's no cross save. And yeah, so I jumped on the PC version and I didn't have the body armor. And dude, I literally got it on the very last run. But that panic, because I think your goals change. You play the
Yeah.
game, and after I'm thinking of it's like leveling up XP before you fight a boss in a game. You sort of think,
Yep.
right, I'll do this run, try and get a module, and hopefully the next run will be better.
Yep.
I've so far found the ones I've found that I found about 18, I think, but the ones I found that are really important so far is the pouch, which increases your capacity. So you have
Mm.
10 capacity normally, and now I've got 14. But obviously, you've got to fabricate this each time. You haven't got it automatically.
Yeah.
You've got to go to that machine, get the items, put it in the fabricator, and make them. Yeah, so I've got the pouch or the purse, it's called. And it's quite funny when I've watched other people make the video, they've gone, "What do I want a purse?" Like everyone, that's the first thing they've said. Why do I want a purse? So yeah, the purse. I've now got the body armor, which is nice, and an electric gun, which
Okay, I
is
haven't seen
probably
that one.
no. So that is probably the most important one to find because it's basically infinite ammo. You have to charge it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And another thing I noticed in this little video we've got playing here, I didn't even think about this. He throws a gas canister and
Yeah.
shoots it and blows it up and uses an explosive. I never
Yeah.
even
See,
thought.
I hadn't thought of that.
No, I'm literally. I saw this video and I thought that is a really good tip.
Yeah.
Um,
You
yeah.
could store those in your inventory too, right?
Yeah, 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 I've seen. Yeah, because that's how you collect stuff as well for
Yeah.
the fabricator. So yeah, the lightning gun is like today, and the reason we're doing this is today. I was speaking to Matt, and I was just like, dude, I want to have another run today because I've got those modules.
Yep.
I think gameplay hours I've put into this game must be coming up to maybe 6-7 hours now.
Yep.
And I just think for $15, like,
Oh, that's yeah, it's a great value, and it's unique for. I mean, I liked the way Dread Halls worked. It was scarier, I think you're right. But what they did is took the best parts of Dread Halls, the procedurally generated stuff, the dark atmosphere, some of the inventory system, and they made it so that it's a living, breathing game that makes sense to be procedurally generated, because it's like every time you reset and the ship changes, um, which blew my mind the first time I jumped in and you go to that main area, and instead of being all bright and lit up, it's all tentacled and dark and there's no light in there. The first time I died and went in there and that had happened, I was like, oh no, this is not
um,
good.
when it like you're talking about the tentacles and stuff, so we might as well talk about the graphical comparisons.
Yeah.
And I think you and me both agreed one looks less alive.
Yes, for sure. Yeah. And I mentioned that when I was talking about it in my video, that the Quest version, gameplay wise, is identical as far as I can tell, which is great. And it still plays good. I mean, visually, there's not a lot of differences as far as the general textures and all that kind of stuff. Lighting obviously is different. Um, but the living, breathing aspect in PCVR is why I mentioned it in my video, because if you have the ability to play it on Steam, I think it's better to play it on PCVR, because between the pulsing orb wall type stuff, the stuff on the walls that move, and the little tentacles that reach out for you, it's a lot more alive.
Exactly. I completely agree. I thought everything looked a bit more like bump mapping was there. So it
Mm-hmm.
looked
Yep.
just more, it looked more alive, like we're saying, it looked
Yep.
more alive. But yeah, gameplay wise, it's exactly the same. Almost like what it's supposed to be, a version of the game on the move. And
Yep.
for that, it's fantastic. Like when
Yep.
you think about that, you could be playing it in your home and then you have to travel somewhere and you still want to make another run. That's where the quest comes in for me on this
Yep.
game.
Yep. And I think that if you only have quests, you shouldn't feel like you're missing out, because the game is still just as good. But if you have the option to play on PC and you want the best graphical experience, I
Mm.
definitely would say, obviously it sounds like it makes sense, but there's some cases where it doesn't. Like with Population 1, there's not enough of a difference to really recommend one over the other. But with this one, there is enough of a difference just to say, if you're going to do it, just try it on PC if you can.
So today, you wanted to jump back into this.
Yep.
And like, let's talk about the monsters quickly.
Yeah, yeah.
We were saying it's now for me. I think the monsters. It's not necessarily the monsters that are scary. They're more like
No.
a visual deterrent of don't want to go near that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. They're creepy in some ways, like the headless one with the open chest cavity.
Yeah,
If you really look at that one, it's pretty disgusting and
that's
creepy.
that's who I call the rack of rib guys. He looks like a
Yeah.
if a rack of ribs landed in like the Teenage Mutant Hero Turtle ooze.
Yeah.
That is what you would get, a hideous rack of rib man.
That makes total sense. Now, if you had a flamethrower in that, you could grill them up, maybe even have something to eat. But
Oh yeah.
but the other guys, the squishy, weird ones, that look like the whatever swamp monster.
The 70s horror suit
Yeah,
people, yeah.
I'm not so scared of those. In fact, there isn't really anything about the enemies I'm scared of in the game, which has surprised me. It's more kind of a disgusting type of thing. It's the shadows that you see moving in the distance that they're going to be there. That rack of ribs dude, though, what scares me about him is the fact that when the lights go out, he can disappear and appear behind you.
Yeah,
Um,
do you know
and
what? When I played it on the Quest, I did not notice that. And then when I played it on PC, I had my light on him, and my light flickered on my hand,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
and he disappeared. And I was like, and that added a whole new level of like
Yep.
panic. Yeah,
That's how I died in my last run. And when I did my video, is I went into a room, I opened up the door, and there he was with the jumpers. I just call them the jumpers, those stupid things that jump on the walls. I hate those things.
yeah.
And because you can't see them in the dark, all of a sudden you start losing health and you can't figure out where it's coming from. But I went into a room and saw him, and I ran away, and then I kind of got him turned around. Well, I got far enough away from him. I forgot to close the door, but I got far enough away from him that I figured it was fine. I was searching the room, and all of a sudden I see one of those jumpers and turn around, and there he is standing at me and killed me.
Oh man, yeah. I think as well the sound work is definitely worth a mention. Like that's one of the
Yes.
biggest parts for me. There's a lot going on with the sound, and obviously, I think I'm pretty sure the assets would be the same, but I thought the PC version had more sound going on. More things seem to
Yeah.
happen more frequently.
Yes, that's another thing. It uses a lot of the sound on the Quest version, I noticed, to almost emulate that squishy wall movement stuff. So
Yeah,
like you
yeah.
see it in the world on PC, but for some reason when I played the PCVR version, it did audibly sound more alive too. I don't know if it's limiting the amount of sounds it can play based on the Quest or what, but yeah, I'd say both, at least to my ear. I could be just imagining things, but when I played PCVR, both visually and audibly, there seemed to be more there.
Yeah, for sure. But ultimately, and I think you'll know this from the way we're talking about it, I would definitely recommend this game.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, for sure. Especially for the price. For $15, that's, you can't beat that value. You've put what, 6 hours into it, you said, approximately.
probably more,
Um,
probably more.
yeah. And that's uh incredible for $15. And you're not done with it yet. And you're really good at this type of game generally. So I mean, somebody like me could put 10 to 15 hours in it before I actually finally beat it.
It's such a roll of the dice. That's the thing. It's such a roll of the dice. Like the people I've talked to have just like, I think Mike, when I was speaking to him, I think he said he nearly got to Earth on his first run or something.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and sometimes I start my run, and like the other day, I thought it was going to be the best run ever because I spawned with the shotgun. This is before I had any modules, because when you get weapon modules as well, you can choose to what weapon you spawn with. But I don't know if the ammo will favour that. I don't know if the game will go, he's chose a shotgun, but will I give him shotgun ammo? So I kind of want to leave it at random at the moment because I don't know how the game's thinking. Yeah, one time I started the game, I had a shotgun, I had a pistol, and like the pistol's really good, and that was in like the first like 2-3 rooms, and I'm like, man, like this is going to be a solid run, dude. Like I'm packing loads of heat. It's going to be good. And then sure enough, the game gives you what felt like less oxygen, and I got into what I would think, and I don't know whether this is possible in the game code, a impossible situation because it's procedurally generated.
Yep.
Have you come across the transport orbs or the teleport orbs?
I found one. I didn't use it because I died too quickly.
Right.
I wasn't thinking. I didn't know how it worked.
It saved me. There was a point where I was like, man, I'm going to die. Like this runs over. And I just reached into the HUD and threw the teleport orb down, and I appeared in part of the ship which I'd never been in any direction. So I was like, I looked at my mini map, which is a mini map, and yeah, I was like, shit, I don't know where to go. And that point of teleporting, obviously, I was in a bad state. I had no ammo, I had no health, I had like 1 oxygen left. I went left, went through a couple of rooms, and there was like a toilet full of like 6 monsters. So I shut I shut the door on them. I went the other way, and then this great big eyeball with tentacles was the other way, and I thought, I'm screwed. Like I actually don't know where to go. I've got to face one or the other, and I've got no way of doing it. But that's one of the great things about the game. I think patience and persistence are important with this one. But I've had a lot of fun.
Yeah, I've had a lot of fun with it too, and I've jumped in since I did the video a couple of times just to try a few more runs, and it's one of those things where you're like, okay, what's going to happen next? I got to jump in and find the next thing. You know, I want to find out what happens because I actually did read somebody that played it to the end. I don't know who it was, and they said the ending was crazy cool.
Oh man, yeah.
So now I want to play it to the end. In fact, I actually read one person that got to the end early on in their playthrough, and I don't think they've beat it yet. I can't remember who it was. It was on Twitter. They got to the end and died in the transport on the way to Earth because they lost oxygen.
Yeah, I saw that. That was that banjo guy. Yeah, he basically didn't realize while in the ship he had to keep using oxygen.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he sounded quite happy about it because it means he's going to go again. And I think that's the draw of the game. I don't think it's going to win any awards. I've seen certain videos say like it's the best game since Saints and Sinners, which obviously adds a hell of a lot of hype. But that would make this, I believe, better than Half-Life Alyx, because I think Half-Life Alyx come out after Saints and Sinners. So it's not there. For me, it's not that AAA level game. It's just a fantastic indie game.
Yeah, and it's not meant to be at that level. It's just meant to be a great game that was built really well by, I think, a developer, or at least a very small team. I think he probably has people that work with him off to the side. You know what I mean?
You'd think so after the success of Dreadhalls.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But for sure, a small team, definitely not a big team, if anything. And he did really good. I mean, he did so well with Dreadhalls. It's an old game, but for what it was when it released and how people still play it, it's a testament to the fact that the way the game's designed, even if it didn't look great, was good.
Yeah. It's all about
and
gameplay. All about
yeah,
gameplay. Yeah.
and he's been working on this game, I think he said, for 3 or 4 years
Yeah.
to get it right. So I imagine that procedural stuff takes a lot of different coding and testing to get just right so that you actually can win the game.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I'm a fan. I think that it was much better than I expected. And I'll be honest, I played it the first run or two, and I was like, I don't
We
know.
both were. We both were.
Yeah.
We both weren't really sold on it, first of all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the more you play it, the better it gets, which is good, because generally speaking, when you play a game, a lot of times it starts off strong and gets weaker. This game seems like it starts off kind of slow, or at least you got to get used to it, and it kind of throws you in there. There's a minimal tutorial as far as just telling you little pop-up things that tell you what you can do, at least on the Quest version.
Yeah.
And then it just throws you to the wolves and expects you to figure out what happens
next. It really does. It really does. Yeah, like when on my first one, I didn't know how to heal up. I was like trying to shove like tins in my face, or I was thinking, do I need to find a tin opener? Like, how am I going to do this? I've got no idea how to do it.
Yeah.
Then,
well, I picked up what looked like a box of ramen, or like, the Chinese food boxes, and I was trying to dump it in my mouth. I was like, how do I do this?
Yeah, because the oxygen is that you just put it on your face, and you kind of assume maybe the same mechanic's going to be for everything else. So yeah, Matt, like, I mean, obviously we recommend this game.
Yeah, for sure. I would say in the past few months, this is the one game, if you're looking for something that has good replay value at the best value, to check out. I mean, and if you like horror stuff, even if you don't, I think you check it out. But if you're don't like stuff that has creepy stuff in it, probably you won't like it.
Yeah, I think, like, when we talk about the monsters, I think this game works on, is it anticipation is the word? Like,
yeah.
the fear of what would happen. Like what can happen, and that game builds tension. That builds tension, and that's what is going to be keeping people scared. And then, as you said, the monsters moving around in the dark. I thought it was a brilliant feature. It could have been quite lazy, but the fact they disappear and reappear depending on the light is great.
Just the music, the musical cues. Something's around you when the music starts to crescendo and build up.
Yeah,
and you're like, oh no, where's it coming from?
Yeah, I love it. I love this game, and as soon as we're done doing this, I'm going to be jumping back in for an hour and hoping I can save myself and get to Earth.
Well, I can say I'll be jumping in. I don't know if it'll be an hour. I have to play it in stints because I'm still not very brave, but I'm probably going to play it.
Dude, like, you should actually do a video using your basement, because it kind of looks like a similar scheme.
Something funny? Speaking of that, last night I was laying in bed trying to go to sleep, and all I could picture was that stupid rack of ribs guy standing beside the bed next to me in the dark. I don't know why. It took me 20 minutes to fall asleep. Yeah, it took me 20 minutes to fall asleep because I'm thinking he's gonna appear right in front of me. I know he is.
Fucking hell, man. Yeah, so you're like, you are actually quite terrified of VR games, aren't you?
Horror ones, yeah.
Yeah. What's like your scariest game so far? Because you haven't done, for the record, you still haven't done Phasmophobia, and I don't blame you. It's hard.
Although I played a little bit of the tutorial, like I told you, and that was already scary enough.
That's another level.
I don't know. I think probably Dreadhalls used to be, just because to me, it's not about the jump scares so much. It's about that anticipation of what's going to happen and going through the dark. I don't know. I can't really remember all of the games that I've played that are scary games, to be honest. Face Your Fears was just silly, scary jump scares.
Yeah, Face Your Fears is jump scare fest. Like, for sure. You won't ever necessarily remember afterwards why you jumped or why you were scared, but something makes you jump. Yeah.
So I guess I'd have to say probably for pure terror and how scared I got, Dreadhalls probably. I still haven't played it. I don't go out of my way to play them, so there's nothing else I've really tried for horror stuff.
And I think that's important to note as well. Some people think it's all about the visuals. It's not. There's so much more in VR going on. to make a game scary, and I think developers have more things at their disposal to make it happen. You know, with that spatial audio, and when you're in the dark, you haven't got a monitor to see anything else around. When it's dark, it's absolutely dark.
Oh, it's pitch black. And speaking of that, I meant to put it in my video and I didn't. When you're on the Quest and PC version, one other difference is that the Quest version is lighter. If you play it and you turn your light off, you can still see.
Oh, okay.
If you check it out the next time you try it on Quest, if it's pitch black, it gets pretty dark. But if you go in a room with very little lighting in it in the PC version and you turn off your flashlight, you literally are enveloped in darkness. You can see some lights off in the distance.
Yeah.
But in the Quest version, the lighting map seems to be a little more expanded. So that light just sticks around. It's weird, but that's what I found anyways.
So I think one of the things, as I think we said a minute ago, that the PC version the tutorial seems a bit more in depth. I don't remember being able to know how to turn my light on and off on the Quest. But I actually thought, why the hell would I do that?
Yeah, I don't know. Unless you're trying not to get found by the monsters, but I'm not about to stand in the dark waiting for them to pass me by.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, I've got to give that a shot if I get stuck. I haven't even thought about that. It'd be the last thing to think about. So yeah, I think that's a wrap, and I hope everyone enjoyed the quick review discussion. And yeah, man, cheers. It's good fun.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to jumping back into the game.
Yeah, man, definitely. I'm literally going to do it as soon as this goes up.